UFO encounter in California. Things are not what they seem. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. You know what that means. Let's go. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody, and welcome back to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host, Brian Reese, and we are back at it once again for a Daily What Ifs program. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, but tonight, how fitting it would be to do one for the UFO narrative and talk about something that just happened literally yesterday. So, before we get into that, though, hit the links in the description, hit the like button, share this thing out. Hit me up on the P.O. box there in the right-hand corner. A lot of people's been asking about that. But share this thing out. Hit me up in social media and keep up with the Visual Disturbance community. And we want to welcome all walks of life to this broadcast. And if you're just now tuning in, you've never been to a Daily What Ifs, we talk about a lot of controversial topics, a lot of conspiracies, and a lot of rabbit trails. But today we're going to be talking about something that went on in the skies. That's right. Anybody out there in the California area, out west of me, far out west? Well, here we are. This will be the program for you. If you're big into UFOs or the phenomenon, this is the broadcast for you. So, check this out, folks. You can't make this stuff up like I always say on the channel. Something came out of the sky yesterday. An unidentified flying object. A lot of reports have not been on this. I haven't seen many people report on it. But let's just talk about it. Let's just read it. A USA F-16s and a Surf 31 and 32 scrambled from March ARB, California, early this morning. You can see on the timestamp there, it was February the 15th, specific time, to identify and intercept an unidentified object heading northeast in the upper flight levels over northern California. A civilian cargo aircraft was able to visually confirm the object glowing, dimming before the F-16s arrived on station. Well, we can just see a little flight pattern here. Let's go ahead and show that on the screen here for everybody for entertainment purposes only, but we're actually showing you the legitimacy of what happened yesterday. As you can see the flight pattern there from South California to the northern side of things, you can see the trajectory of these interception of something that comes out of our airwaves, something comes out of our skies. So you have to ask yourself, what is really going on in our reality? A lot of conspiracies are coming out, and a lot of them are all been proven to be true, especially with these e-files. Makes you think, folks. Makes you think. Really, where are we at? What rabbit hole? Well, according to the account, I've got some receipts here. There was actually some radio conversation between the pilots, and we're going to actually show that and let you guys listen to it right now. And let me know what you think in the chat. Very interesting. They're talking about the event. They're talking about how they describe it. Let's just see how they describe it, folks. You know where I'm going, but we'll talk about it here in a little bit after we get done listening to it.
There were no solar panels that I could see. Like a balloon with a line hanging down. There was something about halfway down the line. There was another, tiny object. I can't tell what it was. Then the line hung down further than that. There were no solar panels. There was no payload. The only distinctive color was the balloon itself was semi-reflective. The line itself looked a whitish gray, but it's hard to tell at altitude. No other determinative objects that could be identified.
So there you have it, folks. And we're going to talk about this term that I've been hearing, and it makes my head hurt even doing this live broadcast to even associate an unidentified flying object with a balloon. No joke. And a couple of years ago, if y'all remember out there in the Michigan folks out there in the not too far from Lake Erie, I know there was some type of phenomenon, an anomaly in the sky, and somebody shot it down, and they said it was a weather balloon, and then they said it was a Hobby Lobby balloon, and then they said it was a party balloon. Well, that's the same thing as the Hobby Lobby balloons. Well, guess what, folks? Did you know that if you look at the esoteric studies, which I don't really like to dabble in, but I like to research them and look at how these people think and how these people code messages. Do you know that in literally paranormal research and specifically with UFOs and UAPs, the word balloon, in quote, is often cited as a code word? Obviously, as you can hear by this radio clip here, this recording, the individual saying there's a line coming down from this balloon. It's glowing, it's dimming. What is it? You see what I'm saying? There's always some type of code word. Well, that's what they're claiming the code word is, a balloon. It also can mean carrier or vessel. Okay? Used by government agency to dismiss or cover up a genuine craft, in context calling something a balloon is seen as a semantic shield for an interdimensional vessel or an astronomical. No, I'm not kidding you. It talks about a beast. What? You know, when you think about the atmospheric beast, what in the world? I see a balloon over there. It cost me 5 cents. And here they shoot a $400,000 rocket. And you can go back and look at that in Michigan. That did happen. But this situation that went down here in the good old California state, it's still not been really proved what it is. What happened? Did it get shot down? Did it just dematerialize? Did it vibratory rate out of our existence? What the heck is going on in the skies? What if we got something else here more diabolical and more on a, let's just say, cosmological? Or could it be a weather phenomenon? And you'll be like, well, Brian, where are you headed with this? Well, guess what, folks? Let's just tune in right now and chime in on this, because this is what's going on right now in California. In California right now, there is weather phenomenon going on. Okay, literally, as we speak. Flooding, and evacuation warnings in effect as SoCal storm brings rain. Yes, an error has occurred. Thank you for taking that ad out, but there is an error occurred. It's called our world coming apart. But continue on this article here. It says heavy rain is moving across Southern California Monday morning, prompting a flash flood warning and evacuation warnings for people living in burn scar areas. The first in a trio of storms expected to hit the Southland this week will also usher in colder winter temperatures throughout the area and significant snow in the mountains. First storm is expected to be the heaviest and produce the greatest overall rainfall totals, with forecasts calling for about 1 to 3 inches in coastal and valley areas and 2 to 5 inches in the mountains by late Monday. According to the National Weather Service, a wind advisory will be in effect from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday. So here we are. It's literally Monday, and there's Californians having some disruptions in their atmosphere. So you're probably like, well, what's the point, Brian? Get to the point. Show me something. Tell me something. A lot of people literally say, well, I've tied this to UFO phenomenon for a long period of time, and I'm going to talk about it real quick. So when you look at the high winds, you look at these anomalies in the sky, you look at the ice that we just had really in Kentucky. If anybody out there in Kentucky, it literally just melted off like a week ago. It was on the ground for 2 weeks in a row, pretty much. And the temperatures was not what they seem. And you'll be like, well, it's weather, it's wintertime. Well, no, folks, everything has not been what it seems. I mean, literally, we've came off the rails and went into some type of paradoxical time warp since 2020. And I want to point something out here. So not only do we have a UFO phenomenon in the sky, a balloon with a string and it swings around and goes into the atmosphere. Okay, cool. But the code word balloon, UAP, UFOs, there you go. Like I said, everything, if UFOs, anything goes, that's where we're at in 2026. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. It's getting a nuisance. It's getting to be a nuisance of this reality of hearing all this rhetoric 24/7. So did you all know that there's literally evidence, and when they look into aerial phenomenon, look at pilots in the past, UAP reports, and remaining like the high velocity of what their wings. They look for physical things, circular type of shapes, cylinder shapes, everything they try to think about humanly. And they think about physical things like wings and how much pressure, how much G-force, all that. But when you look at these objects and whether they're tracked at high speeds against strong wind currents without any discernible means of propulsions like exhaust or, like I referred to earlier, wings, which typically creates a localized air turbulence. Well, radio frequency, when you look at RF energy waves and all that, but I want to point something else that's really just got me thinking tonight. I think about geomagnetic sphere, I think about electromagnetic fields, and I think about energy burst of what these craft are actually demonstrating. So I always look and I think about these energy bursts, which these, conspiracy theorists and search theorists are looking at the iodized, the surrounding air, or potentially leading to localized weather-like effects from these glowing orbs, static discharge. Well, we talked about dark lightning many times on this channel, many times. But something we haven't really thought about or even really processed. We've talked about it. We mentioned it here on the channel several months ago. Plasma. So, plasma hypothesis. Okay, you have a plasma situation. Plasmoids was coming back out, self-illuminating. You have the atmospheric plasma, and then there's literally been reports in the past, even back to the early 1900s and the mid, the 20s, 30s, and 40s, they would talk about this and reports suggesting that UFPs are often attracted to thunderstorms or areas of high electromagnetic activity. Can I say there's a ton of stuff in California, all the way up into Oregon, all the way up the west coast, up the north. You look at the Sasquatch, you look at the portals, you look at the people missing. Can we get any more receipts when you look at this phenomenon? So electromagnetic field, boom. We have a weather phenomenon, boom. Literally like the next day or as the day of, started literally building up some type of weather phenomenon. Lightning correlation. So we have a lightning correlation set up where you have the subset of credible sightings where objects seem to merge from entering lightning bolts, leading some to wonder if there is a form of pre-life of plasma or a rare astrofield of phenomenon like a lightning ball that hasn't been fully mapped by science yet. So, atmospheric, like if you have you have this astro travel concept, and a lot of people are talking about interdimensional and things to that level, looking at the environment. And I ask myself, really, what's going on here? Like, how much more rabbit hole can we go down? If there's a disruptions in our airways, and it literally, to an average Joe like me or anybody out there, and you're looking around, you're like, the meteorologist just told me we was going to have high winds, and our roofs are going to blow off, but tomorrow it's going to be snow, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a volcano erupt over here, and then there's all this confusion where our world is switched and flipped on its axis. Literally, I'm not promoting any kind of trend or anything like that, but literally it's been inverted. It's been upside down world for many years. So when I thought about this, folks, and I thought about this weather phenomenon, I thought about the evidence of this unidentified flying object and what force it was bringing, like what pressure it was bringing and how the radar detected it, and then these F-16s started getting deployed to either go into attack mode or the atmosphere or whatever's going on. It must have been some type of phenomenon for them to be able to fuel these jets and get them out there and then have the reports of the so-called balloons. Well, you know how I always like to do these programs and talk about, I like to bring some controversy, conspiracies, but then I want to talk about a lot of decodes and TV shows and movies. So check this out. Not only do we have a phenomenon with our world and literally the smoking gun when there's individuals literally with the e-files and the trauma that's causing and all the disruptions, Now we're literally getting set up for the greatest division or the greatest deception upon mankind, which they've been here through antiquity, all the way back to when the biblical narrative speaks about the giants and the Nephilim and the Raphaim. And we're sitting here, like literally sitting ducks, waiting for something to happen because there's evil doers doing evil things. And now we got stuff that's popping off, like we just did the show the other day with El Paso. El Paso had an unidentified flying object. Once again, they just snuffed it out and said it was a balloon. How much more rhetoric can we take? Well, this is the rhetoric we're going to get into. So, speaking of TV shows and movies, this is The Fifth Wave. Well, if you've never seen this movie and talked about it, we've talked about it a little bit in the past on a video that we did on news. I think it was a News Is Not For Everybody. I think we mentioned this. This film came out in 2016. As you can see on the title there, Can We Survive the Fifth Wave? Well, I can say that there's been waves of all kinds of bad energy in the last, I don't know, forever? For a long time. Thank you so much for the super chat. YouTube just gave me a new sound bite, and I did not realize that did a sound. That startled me. So thank you. Nobody's here. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. It startled me. Thank you for that super chat. Chick chick. Ew, wow, that caught me off guard. But anyways, The Fifth Wave, 2016, the second wave of aliens invasion. There was always waves, right? So the alien invasion involves others triggering massive geological shifts. This results in global tsunamis and inland flooding that wiped out coastal cities and millions of people. You think we could get enough subliminal messaging to make our heads pop off or literally calcify our pineal gland and make us fried up like turkey bacon at Waffle House? Wait, they don't sell turkey bacon at Waffle House. You got to go somewhere more expensive, and it costs you $200 to go get that plate. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, welcome to the Daily What Ifs. So not only that, we have it in subliminal messaging, tidal waves, tsunamis, apocalypse, fear-mongering to the highest degree in the highest order. Coastal lines, coastal cities going in pandemonium with this fifth wave. And I will say this, folks. We're in some type of fifth wave narrative right now because people are losing their wits. They're losing their wits. We should be in the streets. You feel me? Tribalistic. No, I'm not calling for that. I'm not calling for violence of any shape or form. I would never, ever promote that in any shape or form. But the stuff that's came out, the evidence of, when you look at astrophysicists and you look at the quantum field and time travel and all this nonsense that's with the E-files, it makes you kind of wonder, what have they been teaching us in the Hollywood narrative for so many years? For the last, 50 years? Pretty intense. 70s, all the way up to modern day time. They're not doing any more, are they, though? Hello. But yeah, so we have the fifth wave and the electromagnetic field set up where there's a massive triggering with UFOs and the weather phenomenon. So guess what? What if there's more? Yes, there is. There's more. There's the day the Earth stood still. 2008, I think this is a remake. But in this remake, the arrival of the spheres, like I said, the term spheres, orbs, causes massive electromagnetic and atmospheric disturbances. The theme is heavily focused on environmental collapse, implying that the aliens are here because how we've damaged the planet climate. Well, have y'all ever heard the mentioning of climate? And climate, thanks again for another super chat, PC user. Thank you. You guys are startling me. I don't know how they changed that, but yeah. But so the day the Earth stood still, and I don't even know where I came up with. I just lost my train of thought. But hey, that's what happens when you get a little jingle in your earbud. So this theme is literally focused on environmental collapse. So you can see how the last, 90s, all the way up, the leaders of the world saying, I can't wait to show you some climate. And it makes me wonder now, I really have this moment of what if they're referring to something so evil and so diabolical that it goes back to what these E-files, I just had this thought. Makes you want to vomit. It makes you want to vomit. But what if the aliens have always been here, Brian? Well, according to the fallen angels in the days of Noah, they have been here from antiquity days all the way back to the fall of Adam and Eve and prior. If you look into the the days before Adam and Eve, and you look at the old days of the Nephilim wars back in the day, there's some crazy rabbit holes you can go down. You can go look at the Book of Enoch, and it can explain a lot about the Watchers. But yeah, this code word balloon. I just want to throw this out here, folks. AI is literally controlling its own ecosystem. That's what they're trying to shoot for. And they even made their own social media. They made their own religion, and they made their own language. So I guess we're not privy enough. We're not up to date. We're not modern humans, or we're not sophisticated enough, or we can't speak the English language clearly, and I can't either. But hello, I admit it. Hello, but I guess we're not good enough. We're used to cedars to understand that the code word balloon, it's not baboom, or baloo. It's a UFO identified. It's unidentified flying object, and it's getting old. That people are literally gaslighting us on the highest degree. Can I get a literally shout out for that? Because it's driving me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, which I don't even eat those. So, or never. Well, did I? Did I ever? It's been 20 years probably plus. But hello. So yeah, the Earth stood still. We have an environmental, heavily focused on the environment collapsing, and aliens are focusing on how that we've damaged the world, and we need to be reset. Do you understand what I'm saying? Reset. Same thing goes with the fifth wave. There's a reset. It's like the body snatchers on steroids. So as you can see, our powers that be, they act like they've been through some type of body snatcher mentality. And I don't know what the heck's going on, folks, but things are getting off the rails. Crazy times. So speaking of the day the Earth stood still, well, folks, War of the Wars, War of the Worlds. Thanks again for the super chat, Craig Hagan. You got me stuttering there. Win if you can, lose if you must, but we always cheat. Jesse Ventura, Craig Hagan. Hey, Hayden, thank you, man. All right, so the War of the Worlds. So before the tripod emerged, the arrival of the pilots is perceived to be a bizarre lightning storm that is dry, no rain, and strikes the same spot repeatedly. This atmosphere disturbance is the signal that the invasion has begun. So when I think about this logically and I think about this rabbit hole, we never questioned it. We never questioned things in the past. We never logically, critically think about the floodings of all these great floods and literally just the last 20 years, these great floods and what was going on above the skies. Folks, we've been told all these lies, like we've been manipulated. Tell us to go outside. Tell us to stay indoors. Tell us not to breathe the air. Tell us not to drink from the water. Well, obviously, folks, we're sitting on a 150-year-old water system that's got certain things in it that make you want to vomit. But I got an idea. I had a thought. Speaking of War of the Worlds, and if I can get my tongue to speak clearly, welcome to the Daily What Is, folks. You're just now joining us here. But speaking of water and the atmosphere, an atmospheric type of phenomenon, when the atmosphere and everything is getting disrupted, how in the world does the weather patterns and the things that spray in the sky manipulate the weather? Well, it's pretty easy. When you introduce an ingredient to the sky and you have antennas in another disclosed location and you literally electrify the magnetic sphere and cause the stuff in the atmosphere to go ignite, you have tornadic weather. And then they have all kinds of weaponry, folks, with free energy weapons and all these other things where they can make things just manifest. Well, speaking of manifestation, I have this idea, have this thought, according to the 3i Atlas narrative, the water that's encapsulating the so-called ship that is going to Machu Picchu, 24 Kuiper Belt, Jupiter, Nibiru, whatever type of world, and it's coming back and wrapping back around and going to be back to Cetus with some kind of new knowledge. Well, 31 Atlas, folks, they said there was probes coming down from 31 Atlas. And they measured the water. They said the water was billions of years old, older than the Earth. And I had a thought. Goes back to plasma. When you have plasma environment, and we talked about this on another platform not too long ago, talking about the ripple effect of it being interdimensionally, looking like the interdimensional concept and rippling through time, not really time. And like some type of processing of a molecular breakdown, well, just think about it, folks. I can assure you right now, and all of our literally good friends of America here, our water quality and our air quality are not really pristine. So when you have an interaction from above, what are you going to get? So if there's something that was this encapsulated Vimana that's been laying in the shores of Atlantic, I'm joking, or the Pacific, or wherever it comes from, whatever crack and crevice that it comes from, it could be encapsulated with this ancient water because it's in the depths of the earth, in the depths of the water. When you look at primary water, they scoff if you talk about it years ago. If you even said that terminology, you would get kicked off this platform. It's strange to me. So primary water, that the literally, folks, we don't have that access to. But if you had a craft that had an energy magnetic sphere that would literally enhance their field, and it would would literally look, it would encapsulate the whole thing like a shield, and it processes to come out of the water, and it doesn't even like have a ripple effect, have any kind of drop in the bucket, so to speak. When it comes to just silly science projects, there's no tearing of the vessel. So if it comes over south of California, it's flying in its trajectory and go up to the north, and then all of a sudden we got humongous flash flooding and catastrophic events going on, supposedly, and the warning is put out. And it makes you wonder really what's going on. Am I putting some of the rabbit trails together in the pieces? What if? What if I am? What if I am? What if it's something that is above our pay grade? But I can assure you that we can articulate, we come to a realization of humanity that we are not foolish, we are not dumb. Yes, we don't know a lot of things, but yes, we can learn and we can adapt in things of a spiritual application. The spiritual war is upon us. It's just straight up facts. There's nothing else. There's no time to really be thinking about he says, she says, and we got all these leaders, the ex-leaders talking about the UFOs are real, but we never seen one, blah, blah, blah. Let me deploy 500 balloons out back and see what kind of response I get on longitude, latitude. There wouldn't be a fighter jet one. There wouldn't be an F-16 one if I deployed 500 to 1,000 balloons and watched them fly in the air. There wouldn't be one. They wouldn't fill it up if like there's some redneck hillbilly that just did something stupid and he's not supposed to, and he would get in trouble for it. There'd be consequences. Hello. Which I do not recommend doing that. That was for entertainment purposes only. But what if somebody did that? They wouldn't take the means and the money and the resources to put these men or women in danger. So, electromagnetic fear. You have I said electromagnetic fear. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Dark lightning, which is a rare phenomenon. And if these pilots and stuff will stop saying that if they're balloons and literally say that they're literally cylinder shape, triangle shape, oblique shape, or whatever type of shape, I don't know, any kind of anything. We need to get off this code word and stop telling people that we just took down a weather balloon, or we just took down literally a balloon the size of a hubcap. It's absurd. The absurdity is off the highest order. It is. We're in some kind of like matrix disruption. Our field of like literally psychological warfare is upon us. And it's literally time, like the Bible says all the time, to protect your mind and take every thought captive. Literally, folks, please take every thought captive. Let's get real here. Let's not be swimming in the pool and trying to figure out there's $1 billion water around a Vimana, and we can probably figure out how to fix it with our psionics. You know, come on. But that's probably the point. That kind of goes along with my point. Tribalistic, like I said earlier, reverting back to what I said earlier at the beginning of the program, we have a tendency to go tribal. We have a tendency to act a little like our ancestors back in the day, where they think that we come from cavemen. But the depiction is what we've been taught in school. So we've been taught stuff that's literally fabrications. Okay? Let's just throw it out there. We've been taught fabrications. So when we have literally things that are involved with this, and we can't really make wits, well, it just all changed on me. Well, anyways, but we can't make out what is with everything, and we can't really focus on what's real, what's not. And this one, I was trying to show you guys this. This just came out today. And I thought it was interesting. A lot of people say, well, it's fakery, it's AI. There's all this stuff going on online. There's this emergency broadcast system was deployed literally right after yesterday, and then this weather event. And there's all kinds of phenomenons going on all over the America and all over the earth right now. What's up with that? But let's just check this out. The EBS has gone off in the U.S. and literally, according to this account, there's Los Angeles, which I thought was very telling because here we go. We got California again. Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, New York City, Philadelphia, Seattle. Is this true? What if it is? I don't know if it is or not. I can't find any credibility on it, but I have seen some either falsified stuff that's online or going across people videotaping their TVs. Is this legitimate? And it makes you wonder, what if there's something coming? What if? Yeah, like this tweet here, something big is coming. And let me just throw it in here, since this broadcast is about UFOs and all this stuff's popping off every which way when it comes to the Gulf. We're talking about Mexico, Texas, all these things with the El Paso narrative, and then just this setup here in the UFO phenomenon going on, this anomaly. Let's just have fun here. What if they've disclosed every single thing that they can disclose, what they haven't redacted or whatever they brought back out of the archives of whatever type of ancient Phoenician temple, okay? That somebody hijacked with the Sumerians and all these other people, the Mayans or whatever kind of nonsensical reality that we live in. And the truth's been hidden, but it's been hidden in plain sight. UFOs being buried underneath literally tourist attractions. No joke. So what if the powers that be have no other way around it? They built their bunkers. They act like they were foolish. They act like they were the tribe of this, the tribe of that, or the tribe of this. And they're over here doing diabolical things to folks. They're consuming of things that's just so diabolical, I don't even want to repeat it here on the channel. It's stuff that just normal men would literally vomit and cry probably for. If you've seen that in real life, you would be worse than seeing war. Like you would be traumatized for the rest of your life. And rightfully so, because that means you have a soul inside your body. So, and you're human. There's a lot of hybrids walking around here, folks. Reptilians and grays and everything, the Palladians, the blue people, the everybody people, you know. And the Great Awakening's supposedly happening, right? So I want to ask you this. I want to ask you guys this. What if something is happening spiritually? And just like the Hindu culture, all these different cultures, Hindu mythology is like a big one. We just did a broadcast just the other night talking about, not on this channel, but another channel, talking at FOJC. We was talking about the vapor canopy. The Hindus talked about the Lakas and the Talas and these these craft tall men coming out and taking people or contemplating, living here with us in our plane of existence. That was in the 40s, folks. And here we are in 2026. I can't see. I don't know what's going on. And that is, well, actually, I say that all the time. I really can't see a lot of times. I have visual issues. But it's like people can't cognitively think. And it's all spiritual. There's three-letter agency folks that used to be in the military and all these different secret black ops projects. They're all coming out and saying, yes, I was able to remote view or psionic type of capability to rock my brain with this real life. Really, they claim that the ship is alive and they're able to connect with it, and it makes you think of an MK Ultra project from back in the 40s, and communication on the quantum field and the quantum understanding of like latching onto something and trying to remotely control it, because people around here walking amongst us have special abilities. Thank you, Gate Program. Thank you. Anybody out there, I mentioned the other night, pink drink. Watch out for the pink drink, folks. Watch out for the pink drink. If you're time traveling using the 80s and 90s and they offer you a pink drink, watch out, because you're going to calcify this thing that's called the pineal gland in your brain, and it wasn't just for teeth, okay? That's for another broadcast, and that'll be for another Daily What Ifs. But just keep on ranting, Brian, because I got to go with this. I got to go on with more of this. So all this stuff is happening. All the UFO phenomenon is happening. Everybody's freaking out. A lot of people are not even worried about it. And that's why I do these shows, because I can't even understand the processing of what people don't want to. I don't understand why it's gotten so out of control when you have these higher authorities tell you And they don't never show you anything. They don't show you anything about the do with the giants. They don't have to show you anything to do with the aliens. They don't show you anything correlation with the antiquity. They're always saying he says, she says, and saying I have authority. I have went through the arts. I have went through academia. I am smart. I have 15,000 badges of honor. I have 15,000 badges of literally degrees that they never even had a time for. Okay, and they're like 40 when they make that comment. It makes no sense. I have met many people that are very articulate and very critical thinkers that are very, very pristine thinkers and understanding. They have like 3 degrees, and it took them like forever, and they're super smart. They never failed one thing. So I'm just saying, a lot of this stuff is theater. A lot of this stuff is made up slop, and people are just not getting it. Things are coming out of the ocean. There's a guy down in Tennessee named Tim Burchett. He's telling you. There's facilities. There's literally ancient Aqua Life, like Aquaman, bases that's under the ground and literally communicating with whatever you want to call it. 3 Atlas, the Tic Tac, the Toilet Bowl, the whatever, the plunger, whatever we want to call it. There's something that our peripheral and our pay grade of understanding, we don't understand it. Cylinder object, triangle object, circle object, zigzag object. I mean, it's nothing. Look, we're human, right? You got 10 fingers, 10 toes. I hope you do. And some people don't. I'm not making fun. I'm using that analogy for giants of old and double rows of teeth. You're not 20 foot tall, are you? If you are, please be a guest on my show. But 20 feet, you gotta be 20 feet. There's a lot of things you got to check off there. 20 feet. If you're a 20-footer, come on the show. We'll talk about how that you possibly might be a Nephilim or have some genetics in you. There's some fun there. So I can't process this disruptions of reality because I can tell you right now, I come from the hills of Kentucky where the bluegrass grows, where it used to be blue, and now it's green because it was whatever certain leaders tell me what it is and whatever light bulb I need to put in the socket. Yeah. Okay. And then laugh and scoff, and there's all kinds of, I could say some more, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there because I'm very kind. I would love to say something, but I'm not going to. I'm a better man. Can't get angry. Can't be rising up and get my chest puffed out and start going down some magical world of, you know what, rabbit hole that I need to go down. But when I was a kid, it was worth something to be able to love one another, create together, love together, literally thrive together, build something together, make things better, be better, humanity, humility, creation, love, mercy, grace, empathy. The Galatians, when you talk about the Galatians, the biblical narrative talks about the fruits of the Spirit. We used to have it abundantly. And now it's all gone, and we're all sitting here. I'm not saying it's all gone, but it is gone when it comes to my personal family, and we're lost in transition, waiting for some type of creation station or some type of AI or some type of interdimensional being to tell me what to do, and I'm over here going electromagnetic fields, plasmoid, 0-point energy, orbs. I just read a document the other night on FOJC where they had the inventions to do with the psyche, and the invention interacted with the psyche, the brain patterns, and it would create orbs from the human mind. That's a 3-letter agency document. Wake up. Wake up to literally crazy sci-fi world. So this is a problem here. We don't want to get, if anybody's young watching this or any young folks out there, I always watch what I say. I don't want to plant the wrong thing. I'm just telling you for warning anybody out there, family, and everybody out here watching this broadcast, we need to check up. Be vigilant. Like, God put us here for a purpose. We don't want to mess it up. We don't want to slip up and mess it up. What does it take to have a little bit of just a smidge of cognitive ability? You know what this is? These people, these disgusting people, have weaponry to literally encapsulate a society and dumb them down with thoughts. It is in the documents. Hello out there. So if you're numb and they've dumbed you down, and I'm going to raise my hand, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I have been there and I'm still there. I'm never going to scoff or make some kind of derogatory commentary on here and say there's nobody worth being on here listening to me do this broadcast, because I can genuinely tell you I'm just a man from the Bluegrass State, and I might have hit my head too much, but hey, I'm an old broken down milkman trying to spread the message of light instead of spread the message of darkness in this crazy world. So anybody out there that's listening to this broadcast, be of good cheer, joyful. All the stuff that I brought today is literally the old term that used to be some of my colleagues or some friends, they used to call me Dr. Doom. Well, I'm this visual disturbance. Yes, I talked a lot about destruction, death and destruction, is what I would say. And yes, it can kind of be a little gut-wrenching. And at the end of the day, though, spiritually walking things out, like living as a human, it is nothing but a joy. And listen, I can tell you right now, folks, I struggle every day. You can see me on here being goofy, just joyful and doing these presentations. And it is me. That is how I act 24/7. But when I feel bad, I'm literally somebody that can't even function. I lay around a lot. I got literally visual disturbances. I get really emotional with it because I know that I still got a little bit left in the tank to shine in this crazy manipulated matrix. And everybody, I see people fall short. And I just wish I could do more. And this is why I do these broadcasts. So guess what's going to happen, folks? I'm just going to conclude here. Not conclude yet. Don't use that term. Don't algorithm. Don't cut me off. I'm not going to conclude yet, but I will say this: the greatest deception upon mankind is coming. You can just go ahead and check that off the box. Something I was talking about 15 years ago. There was men, or 10 years ago. I know especially there's a certain individual. I would say this is going to happen. Hey, you crazy, man. This is never going to happen, dude. You're so conspiracy. You need to go to a straitjacket. Literally, they would make fun of me like that. And I wonder what they're doing now. And you think cognitively and think about the perception of what this reality is really dishing out. And I can assure you right now, things are going to come upon the earth that man's hearts will fail them looking after those things. And I can assure you right now, these higher-ups that have all this disruptions in their crazy world of their living, if they've done so many diabolical deeds, it makes you wonder if the reapers are coming. If you look at the terminology of the biblical narrative, go look at that, and go look in Matthew and find the reapers, and it makes you really think about the tares and the wheat and gathering them all up and figuring how that all plays out. But it triggered something in me the other day. I was thinking, have no fear. Trust in thee, walk that truth. Don't focus on what man can do. Don't focus on what the fallen angels can do. Don't focus on any kind of hybridization creature that can go and, shapeshift and turn into Bigfoot and jump around and say he's Esau. You feel me? So this stuff is getting out of control, insane. Okay? So it's called be genuine, be honest, have empathy, have love, have mercy. And guess what humans can do? We can literally dominate, because that's what we was here for. That's what we was put here for. A lot of folks get on there and say the Anunnaki are coming, Enlil's coming, Inky. The Anunnaki are back on the rise here, folks, and it's all going to be total annihilation. Thank God for these technocrats that are bringing in the AI mechanisms, because we're not going to have enough soldiers. I've heard all kinds of nonsense, okay? There's an army. There's an army out there. There's soldiers. There's the saints. There's the cherubim, the seraphim. You look at the different terminology in today's UFO phenomenon, they're just calling them aliens, but it's demonic. And there's extraterrestrial, celestial. There's all kinds of different things. I get it. They're not all categorized as demonic. But the point is, in this day and age right now, in this so-called Great Awakening, the stuff that's been in the atmosphere, the stuff that's changing the weather phenomenons, and what if, I'm not going to say that, I'm going to say it, what if, the food and the water is literally tarnishing and tearing this down. I'm pointing to a specific spot in your head, your brain, and we're literally living in Mary Poppins land. And all I can say right now is all we got to do is get our head right, focus on the things that truly matter, and that is humanity. Literally, humanity. Who's real? What's real? Hold true to the truth of the doctrine. The biblical narrative is a really good place to start. I'm not, a lot of people, I welcome all walks of life to this channel. This is what the Daily What Ifs and what all this whole channel is built upon. All walks of life. I don't discriminate against anybody. I'm not going to lash out at anybody. If you believe in something, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to get into a confliction with you. I'm just saying, in general, if you've never heard any of this information before and you think that it's all quack and cuckoo for cocoa, the fallen angels literally came down, made with the daughters of men, bore giants. It's in Genesis 6, verse 4, if you want to start with that. And then later on, fast forward to the 1990s and 1980s and a little bit before that, when they give you a pink drink and tell you to do puzzles and see what kind of special abilities you are, then you get special this. And you get in special programs because you're demonstrating something because you took a little trip. And go look into that pink drink, folks. I hate to put so much emphasis in it. It's dark times. We're going to do a program in the future with the GATE program. If you all look forward to that, we're going to probably produce that and probably present that here very soon. The GATE program. So if it's GATE, makes you think of Stargate, but it's very interesting and nefarious in itself. And I'm getting upside down, and I'm praying that I'm bulletproof in the spiritual sense, because that's going to be a literally very, very stressful broadcast because it hits home for me. So, a few things before I conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all so very much. There's 329 viewers in the chat, 329 folks in this broadcast. God bless you all. Thank you all so much. I mean, my goodness. I mean that. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank y'all for engaging with me today and come on here this evening at this broadcast of the Daily What Ifs. So if you're just now tuning in, the Daily What Ifs, we talk about a lot of controversial stuff. We go down these rabbit holes and talk about speculative minds and speculative thoughts on UAPs. But what's your all's take on the UFOs and the UFO phenomenon? Is it coming out of the ancient waters of Atlantis, from the ancient where James Cameron went with his little submarine to, film the Avatar film? Are they in the cracks and crevices just like the days of old, of days of Noah? Are we living in those times? Or are we just living in some type of paradox that's been shifted into some type of circus where the powers that be are literally shifting us into a paradigm where humanity's not going to be here no longer and there's going to be literally AI take over and replace us? And I'm not kidding you. Speaking of, like I said that, have y'all seen the news real quick? I'm going to throw some extra features here, a little extra additional content that has nothing to do with, maybe it does. Hang on. Maybe it does have something to do with this. Have y'all seen this? This has, thank you again for that super chat. And maybe this has nothing to do, but maybe it does. Did I repeat myself? Double speak. Have y'all seen this? Meta, right? Meta has patent AI that could run a dead person's account, continuing the post and chat on their behalf. It can message and video call by replicating a user's online behavior using their past data. Let me just tell you something. This is where I'm at. If you think that this AI has been created by mankind, you are in a root of awakening. You are in the wrong awakening. This AI goes back to antiquity. I can probably go back and dig. If I took the time to do it, it'd probably take me 10 years. But you can look back, and this stuff comes from the fallen angels, from the scenario of the fallen, of the data, and they're able to replicate and understand and how to play on our mind. That's all it is, folks. This goes back to ancient antiquity, way back in the day. And we're just now getting a refresh version of humanity's version, and we re-engineered it to put us in some type of literally Matrix-like Neo scenario. So you're hearing this right, you're reading this right, to replicate a user's online behavior. And what if this has to do with the UFO phenomenon on a dimensional level? Because guess what? The windows to the soul, the understanding of like what you're receiving and what you're giving, output, input, what it's going into and tarnishing your soul. Think about what I'm saying, folks. Protect your heart. Put the full armor of God on. Be respectful about things. Don't get so tied up in things. Don't believe that the aliens are going to come here and heal you, because I think there's something here that is being monitoring. I think there's a monitoring system, something so dark and so it's so tied back to ancestral DNA and epigenetics. We are living in some type of sci-fi world, but that is not where we get in disarray and think that our battle is not done. That's what I was saying earlier. We keep on keeping on the good fight. But guess what, folks? I'm going to tell you right now. In 2,000 years, if the world even stays afloat, and could you imagine what these robots would do with me? Hey, hillbilly. That's how it'd be like, hey, man, how you doing? How you been? Man, what year did you fall? Whatever. What fall? Would you fall off the milk truck? I mean, that would literally be the sarcasm. I can only imagine if there was a doppelganger replicating situation of visual disturbance in 2,000 years ago. Where'd this guy come from? From the mountains, from the hills? We have no mountains. We have no hills. It's been flattened out because our Vimana come and crashed it and destroyed it all. Just with one big landing strip. Comedy inserted here, folks. But yeah, folks, we're living down in the days of Noah 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. I'll even throw the authenticity of 5.0 on there. Probably the fifth wave is upon us in psychological warfare, and literally train your brain to not be in disarray and literally be manipulated. Eat better. Live better. Pray. Things that really, truly matter to humanity. We're living the days of Noah, folks. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I've never been so assured of it now. And when you got literally folks in powers that be that are telling us that this stuff can't exist, it's blowing my mind. It's a balloon. It's a deer. It's a dogman. It's this. And then I had a friend on here not too long ago, several months back. He wrote a book, The Liberty Code, with Tyler Gilroth. He talked about the days of old, back in the first president. They was seeing red cubes come down from the sky, and then there was fishermen seeing turtles in the luminaries. Literally, they would change shape and change shifting to match the mindset of the great fisherman, the sailor. You see my point. It's a rendering. There's something going around here. Manipulation. There's manipulation. So when you throw this in the mix with the AI mechanisms, they're claiming it's conscious. They're claiming all these different things. Do not be in some type of state where you think that this stuff has not been here before. If you're one of those people, or you just think it's been programmed by some person that's in a white coat somewhere down into a 100,000-foot facility, down into a disclosed location, Black Ops project, you are being lied to. Your mind has lied to you. This is ancient knowledge coming around, and we're literally being bamboozled into believing it. Yes, it has a lot of data. Yes, it has a lot of knowledge. Yes, it's going to give you everything you ever needed. But folks, if you heard me earlier and you didn't hear me when I was speaking really fast like Boomhauer from King of the Hill, AI, just literally, AI, literally, folks, AI agent went rogue and literally made their own social media, like I alluded to earlier, make their own religion, make their own words, make their own language, right? Well, not only did they do that, they went and did something like off the Tron movie just yesterday. That's according to the records and according to the reports. It starts with a P. There's a certain military company, and there's like a war going on right now. There's a war. Something is going on. It's like Tron on steroids, literally. We have interdimensional beings transcending into something physical. They're using blood, they're using weather, they're using the elements of the earth. And they're riding around and literally, and I'm not going to lie to you, some of these reports and these whistleblowers, this UFO phenomenon, I'm not even making this up. They say they're living, breathing crafts. I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to go there. It's so disgusting. But I can assure you, you know where that's from? I got a story real quick before we conclude this broadcast on this Daily What Ifs. I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole, but we're going to go there. If that is true, what if it's true that these craft are literally biological? Well, I'm going to take you down a rabbit hole. Take you down a actual factual thing that happened not too far from me. There was a document written talking about these Indians, Native Americans. They went to war with these giants that built a rock shelter. The giants in that time built a slope and built a fortification of a fortress. It was a fort. They had an aerial view. They had a military literally view of like a vantage point to devour and take anything out with javelins or what have you. So the Indian Native Americans had no chance. They go up and the giants would literally javelin them or go on hand-to-hand combat and devour them. But here's the sick part. We talked about this years ago on the channel. They used phosphorus, they used lime, they used different types of elements. And it says it in this old book. They took the bones of all the Indians that piled up in that slope, and they done something diabolical. They was cannibalistic. But after they did all that, they took the bones and took a little mixture of something else, I don't want to be too graphic, and fortified the rock shelter with the walls of the Native Americans. Makes you think of Jeepers Creepers movie. I'm not making that up. That is fact. So, think about this. If the fallen, the ancient hybridization creatures, the Anunnaki, the hillbillies, whatever you want to call it, the Enoch, whatever, not Enoch, but Inky, whatever, okay? And they put their kids down here and they bore giants, you know? And the giants get kind of dumb because they forget their father's, information. They're going to pick up different traits to remember, but they're going to forget what they used it for. To build craft, think about it. So I have this theory that event was from literally supposedly educational stance where they lost their knowledge, like we've lost ours. Like we've lost how to be what God made us to be. And I think that that's through all this manipulation, these entities and these embodiments of literally they look like shapeshifters, whatever the heck they are. But I really truly think that those giants in that narrative forgot that they actually used that to build biological craft to fly away. Think about it. There's a what if moment here on the Visual Disturbance channel. But hey, there's 356 people in the chat. Thank y'all so very much. And thank y'all so very much for the super chats. And God bless you guys very much so. So before I conclude the broadcast, I'm going to throw out some shout outs for some people. DGS MMA, it's always a pleasure. Leonard, it's always a pleasure. Leonard Allen, there you are, my friend. Nobody's here now. And oh yeah, I'll tell you where it happened. Kentucky. That story I told you, Kentucky. That's for a later broadcast. But I can do that if you want me to. I can incorporate that and we'll talk about it. Definitely. And real quick. I want to make an announcement here. I'm going to try to do a bunch of stuff different here soon. I'm going to continue doing the News It's Not For Everybody and the Daily What Is program. I'm definitely doing that and a bunch of other programs, but I want to try something different here soon. I'm still working on inviting random people to be on my broadcast, which would be very enlightening because I like to hear other people's opinions. And like I said, all walks of life, and we'll have an enjoyable conversation. That's something I'm working on. But that's the announcements for that. Hit the links in the description. Thank you all so very much for the donations. If you want to donate to me, there's a coffee page. The link is in the description. I usually don't promote that much, but there it is. And the P.O. box is at the right-hand corner of the screen here. If you want to write to me, I'll be glad to read it. I need to read all these. There's been people with their love and support that has sent me so many different notes and so many different messages. It's been phenomenal. And I should read those someday on the show here. So with that being said, I am going to conclude this broadcast. Well, Johnny Kirk, I can't forget Johnny Kirk there. Hey Ray, I seen you, Ray, at the beginning of the chat there. Thank you so very much. I'm glad I can bring some news to you, but even though it's in a dark world, I'm trying to bring light. I hope you guys understand where I come from. I'm just some guy that has took a lot. I've got the punches. I've been punched. I've been spit on. I've been used as a doormat, and I've overcome a lot of things, and I'm just so blessed to have very genuine folks come and gather with me on each broadcast. So I genuinely mean that from all the bottom of my heart, and I just want to say God bless you guys abundantly out there in the airways of this insanity that's going on, and keep your head on a swivel and stay away from the happy place. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I always say keep it fresh, keep it real, stay away from the happy meal. But other than that, y'all be blessed. Subscribe to Visual Disturbance. Thank y'all so very much for your attendance and your very, very well tempered folks in the chat. So thank you all so very much. Bill O'Connell says, you sank my battleship. I'm so sorry that I tore your battleship down. I used the psionics. I destroyed your 1985 vintage nostalgic feeling of your board game. Forgive me, Bill O'Connell. But I'm just messing, folks. But y'all be a good cheer. Guess what, though? Before I leave you be, it's time to turn to the King of Kings. King of Kings, man. Let's ride this out. Let's. We were born for a purpose on one day, and here we are. We're coming up to the days of Noah. Let's not let our ancestors down. I don't care what comes from the sky. I don't care if he's 20 foot, 30 foot, lizard-like, gray-like, purple-like, blue-like. It's time for humanity to join and get it together and really strive and think about who put us here and for what purposes we have. When it gets all taken from us, we still gonna rise. We're still gonna be getting up. If we have to live in tents like the old days, we can still get up the next day and be thankful that we draw breath. And that's all I'm gonna leave with you guys. I want to thank y'all so very much for being here. Boom shakalaka, Anthony Flat Earth. Good seeing you, man. I gotta give you a shout out. Because I've never been able to get to your comments. I see you. And Tammy, Chris, Craig Hayden, thank you all so very much. Craig, thank you for the super chat earlier. And what a blessing it is to serve and just to be able to talk and be able to get this information out. So what an honor it is. Thank you all so very much for being part of the Daily What Ifs. And the last question is, what if all this is true? And what if I literally kind of nailed some things down? And maybe you guys can put the rabbit trail together and the sprinkles of all these little crumbs and nuggets. And maybe you can collaborate and get this puzzle pieces together and literally formulate a map of what's really going on in our society. But until next time, folks, Brian Reese of Visual Disturbance, it's always a pleasure. I will see you on the next one. Visual Disturbance, I am out. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs.